1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hello, guys. I'm James Hake of the Hake Report, and it is Wednesday, July 10th, 2019, in the fourth hour of the Jesse Lee Peterson Show. Thank you, Jesse, for allowing me to be on your video streams. Streaming live on YouTube, not Facebook, but we are on Jesse Lee Peterson's JLP Talk Periscope, which you can find by Jesse Lee Peterson on Twitter, too. JLP Talk. And, of course, D Live. Shout out to D Live. Thank you to Diallo, Jimmy DM, Noah's Arkansas, 7 David 9, Tweeny, Shaggy Boy, Ant is Fresh, Sion, Ridge Tech, and Macross 2020. Thank you guys for the support, as always. And, of course, Mixer. Shout out to CLC, who's given a lot of flashes or sparkles or whatever you're supposed to call them. And Mac Drez Ghost and all you guys on Mixer. Mixer.com/JLP Talk. I had Jesse join Mixer after Twitch, which is owned by Amazon, banned Jesse, or, put him on a 30-day suspension or something. We'll be back on Twitch, maybe on Church, which will be, we'll see when. We'll see when we'll get back in there. Maybe later in July. So, you can call in 888-775-3773. I wanted to wish you guys a happy White History Month. I do not have a Constitution excerpt to read to you today, but I do have some comments on Hake News and the false compassion of liberals. Because liberals aren't just about free stuff, they're about false compassion. You're going to notice from a Pew Research poll about religion, that they have reshared recently that they conducted last year. Stupid stuff. And also, I want to talk about thug media companies and other thuggish stuff. But let's get right into it. That British ambassador, I read today about this British ambassador who's leaked comments, secret memos to London. He's a British ambassador to America, Kim Darroch or something like that. He was talking so much trash about President Trump, and now he's quit. He has resigned over the leak storm. And it just made me think about one more example of the fact that all who go up against Trump shall fail. So also don't talk trash behind people's backs, even if it is secret and I don't know. This guy, so many people have Trump derangement syndrome, and apparently this guy did too. He believed in the false Russia conspiracy theory, just like the liberal media did, and the Democrats and all that stuff. Or some of them, I really don't believed in it, but this guy seemed to believe in it because he was talking about it. Or else he was, I don't know why he would do that, just undermining Trump to his superiors over in London under Prime Minister Theresa May, whom Trump also trashed for failing to make Brexit happen. And Brexit was a 2016 vote that took place before Trump was elected president, where people out of Britain wanted to get out of the EU, the European Union, which is like a sort of like an internationalist socialist thing where they're just, I don't know, it's just socialism. It's kind of like globalism, but the EU is European wide, and they wanted out of it. They didn't want the trade deals. They wanted Britain to control Britain, not the European Union. And I don't blame them. It would be nice if America could get out of the what is it called? The United Nations. another evil, liberal, nasty place, organization. Very liberal. They've come out with reports about racism and stupid stuff. Human rights violations in America. Yeah, right. They don't care about human rights. They're fake. They're also pushing that climate change alarmism stuff, which is really about pushing socialism, globalist socialism, punishing America. So that's that for the British ambassador to America. And then I wanted to talk about this study. This psychiatric diagnoses are scientifically meaningless. You don't need a study to tell you this. I reported on this at the top of, I think, the third hour, where the DSM, these researchers looked at the DSM. I don't know why it takes a researcher to look at the DSM, but the DSM is the psychologist's manual of mental health problems. And the DSM famously got rid of where it said that homosexuality is a mental illness. They got rid of that in the 70s or something. So they're just fake. They just arbitrarily make up fake mental illnesses to try to provide physical explanations, which are really inept, of spiritual problems. And then lastly, on his Hake News that I read during Jesse's show, migrant kids in overcrowded Arizona border station allege sex assault and retaliation from agents. Does anybody believe these people? I knew a lot of migrant kids, and they would just lie through their teeth, blatant liars. But you'll notice that the media always looks at Trump and questions how accuse him of lying, but they never accuse these kids of lying or the migrants, even though they blatantly broke the law to come here, lied and said that they're refugees. They're not refugees; they're illegals. But the liberal media are liars too. So, and that brings me to the false compassion of liberals. Jesse criticizes liberals as being all about free stuff, and they are. But it's not just greedy people wanting free stuff. It's also that spoiling so-called mama spirit of false compassion, supporting the worst in people, and then attacking like the innocent, having mercy on the evil. It's kind of like abortion versus the death penalty. People that are pro-abortion are against the death penalty, right? They're for killing the innocent, the babies, but they're not for killing the guilty, the murderers. Shameful. And I have some excerpts from this liberal, fake Christian outlet. But I want to get to some calls. This fake liberal Christian outlet. It reminds me of where I went to school. Richard, out of California, first-time caller. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and yourself?
Doing fine, thank you.
Okay, so I had a question. You mentioned something about migrant kids right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was actually incarcerated as a juvenile from the ages of 12 through 18.
Wow.
And when I was in there, they used to have to do these rounds where they would put all the kids who are citizens on one side of the dorm, and they would have to get all the illegal kids. And I'll tell you right now, and this was in 2007 through 2011. I was a part of a 30% of the entire jail. So the entire juvenile hall was 70% of illegal immigrants, illegal kids.
Wow. Yeah, they lie about this stuff. They act like the illegals are more law-abiding than the regular people.
Yeah, and that was from back then. So, I mean, Imagine, I can't even imagine they actually closed it down. So I'm from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I was in, I think it was called Los Padrinos. It's okay. Like, it's on the verge, shut down right now. I know a few people who still work there. And they have to move all the way. They have to start working at one all the way up in Sylmar.
Okay.
Sylmar, California. So, I mean, and one of the they're shutting down all the camps, and I think it's just about that time. You know, it's crunch time. Everybody's hiding their dirty money.
You served 6 years straight in juvenile hall?
No, not straight. Just
Okay, in and out.
because of the system and the way it was.
Wow. If
Yeah,
you
it was
don't mind my
terrible.
asking, what type of crimes were you committing?
My first crime ever was petty theft. I stole something from Target, and I ended up doing, I think, 4 months, and they gave me some probation.
Wow.
And
That's
I was a pot smoker, so I automatically kept going back. I never even got a chance to, like...
you were caught on
get off
possession of pot?
Yes, twice. They
Okay.
caught me in possession of pot twice. I went back for that.
And that was while you were
no,
on probation or something?
It was probably, I think altogether, so from those 6 years, I probably did about maybe like 29 months
Okay.
altogether if I added up all the time.
Are you white or Hispanic or black or Asian?
I am actually Native American and Jewish
Oh, wow.
by blood,
You're like,
not by religion.
that reminds me of, there's another guy that was in the men's conference last year or so who was, I think he was like that too. I forget everything that he was. But wow, man. So that's amazing that you spent that 4 months for stealing something from Target, because what I hear now is that they've loosened the punishments for shoplifting, right?
Yeah, they'll let you out for anything. I mean, I'll tell you an incident one time. I think it was before I was like 17, and I was in the holding tank, and this young black man was yelling at the guards to like call his PO and all this stuff, and that means a probation officer. So he's like, the guards ended up doing it. The kid came in on a gun possession charge. The guards called his probation officer, and that probation officer demanded them to release him right then and there.
What?
Yeah, I'm not kidding, man. That's a true story. I was in the holding cell, and I was there on a curfew violation. That means a cop found me walking in my neighborhood after 8 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I was taken in for.
Man, the good old days when they were tough on kids, and that's just like 12 years ago.
Yeah, pretty much.
Man.
Yeah.
Because what I've heard...
it all stopped when I was 18, and that was around 2011, so...
Is your record expunged or hidden or something?
Actually, no. So one of the last charges that they ever got me on was assault and battery on a police officer for resisting arrest, basically obstruction. And it was inside my home. The police assaulted me in my home and said I assaulted them.
Wow.
And my grandparents were too afraid to testify because they're a little older. They're used to the old school ways, and they're just terrified of police.
Is this your Indian side of American Indian side grandparents?
Yes.
Man, what a story. Because what I've heard about crime lately in LA too, especially, but maybe California wide, is that now they have like these rings, shoplifting rings. Speaking of kind of unfairness, where you can steal up to like $1,000 if you steal $999.99 worth of stuff. They can't put you in jail. If it's over 1,000, okay, they'll put you in jail. But they're trying to deal with the overcrowding or something like that. I don't know. I've heard things like that, and then so they have all these shoplifting rings where like they'll come in with calculators and steal just enough stuff not to go to prison for it. They're captured and released, or they hope never to be captured, but yeah. So it's a mess.
Yeah, everything's bad down here. I actually live in a small city in LA, so I'm pretty aware of a lot of the stuff that goes on.
What stopped you from committing all those crimes? At the end, once you turned 18, you said everything stopped.
I basically said, if this is what being incarcerated is like as a juvenile, I don't want to find out what it's like as an adult.
Wow.
So it pretty much ended, in my little charades pretty much was over. I still, the police still do the thing. I'm not against police or anything like that. I have a lot of family members who are, sheriffs, deputies. And so I try to explain that when they pull me over. I try to explain to them like, hey, man, I'm just walking. I'm doing my thing. I'm not here bothering anybody. I cooperate. I don't try to
Yeah.
You never try to resist, because once you resist, that's when they're obligated to react.
Yeah. Yeah, the attitude makes a big difference. And that's something that I don't get why I guess they're just, with the blacks being so out of control with police so commonly, and Hispanics
Oh
too
yeah.
sometimes. Like, I don't understand. I guess I kind of do understand it, that they just don't have self-control, and they don't have any
Yeah.
respect for authority, and
Yeah, and that's
they're
what
so
it was
used to
for a
corrupt
long
authority
time,
of their parents and everybody else.
Exactly, and I was a little when I was younger, a little hard-headed, but you just got to learn, man. Sometimes you got to go through the fire to come back out. So
Did you have both parents?
yes, I did. One
Wow.
was incarcerated though. My dad was always in and out of jail.
Man,
Yeah.
what a life.
But,
How'd you find Jesse's show, by the way?
I just a friend of mine told me to check out this video, and it was him, and I couldn't stop laughing because of how truthful he speaks.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool, Richard. Well, if you're ever in the LA, I mean, it sounds like you're in the LA area. Come on up to
Yeah,
church.
definitely I am.
All right. Cool, man. Take care.
You too, buddy.
All right. Bye. That is so interesting. Richard out of South Carolina. Richard, how you doing?
Hey, James.
Hey. Nice to hear
How
from
are
you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you well. I
Okay.
hear you fine.
Two things I wanted to hit on right quick, man, as quickly as I can, because I know you got other callers. The videos, and the guy, like the guy that he was talking about it before, and the running in the Walgreens and the rioting, all of them, the way they did, that's been going on for so long.
Yeah, I know.
And I mean, and the other thing, these guys, they don't show anything on the news, but do you ever watch the show Cops or Live PD and stuff like that?
I used to watch Cops from time to time. It was always fun.
I watch it all the time, and it's not just black people, it's white people that, if a white person, I was watching this the other day.
Yeah, it's getting worse.
A white girl, she was about like in her 20s, and she was like, "I'm not getting out of the car. Why'd you stop me? Well, you were speeding." Well, and he had to drag her out of the car, and she fought him, and it was the same situation.
Yeah.
They do everybody that way. It's not just black people. It's everybody.
Yeah.
If you're not going to listen, you're going to act like a threat.
Right.
Then they're going to drag you out of the car.
Yeah. And that's true, man. Like, whites are going down the same road so badly.
Same road, but they never show anything like that. They want to fuel the thing about racism.
Yep. It's a similar road. It's not exactly the same because whites have different issues on a minuscule level. For example, they tend to be more fearful than outright aggressive, but then they do get aggressive. Mm-hmm. And then also, like, they tend to, I don't know, like with the example of crack versus these opioids, whites tend to be more self-destructive, whereas the blacks were tending during the crack epidemic to be other destructive. They would murder, and then the whites would just kill themselves, and maybe their children too, if the children are driving in the car and they overdose on an opioid, and then everybody gets in a car crash. But right. I'm so glad that Trump is president, and I'm glad that
me too.
I'm glad that people are catching on to Jesse's message of responsibility.
I just wish the world, the entire world, could hear Jesse's message, man, because it's needed so bad. So bad.
Yeah.
And one more thing.
Okay.
The homosexuality issue and people saying, I was born this way and blah, 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 this, that, and the other, whatever, it's all bullcrap. And I'm going to give you an example of why.
Yeah.
And remember this one because it's a good one. When I went to college, I'm 50. I went to college a long time ago. Whenever professors, they weren't liberal. And they weren't afraid to talk about issues involving the soul and heaven and hell and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when I took sociology and psychology in college, my professor, we came upon a chapter that was discussing the subject of the difference between animals and the way they are, what God gave them and people, and what it was is God gave us a soul, and the gift He gave animals was an instinct. So animals are born with the instinct to know that this is what I do.
Yeah.
And he don't have to teach them. You know, I had a Labrador Retriever that was only 1 year old that I wanted to breed him, and he hadn't read no sex books.
I know.
You know, he didn't. And they brought the female in, and I asked the vet, I said, should I breed this dog? He's kind of young. He said, if you think he's ready, but they all recommend him to be 2 years old. Well, I said, I think he's ready because he's a pretty big, bad dog. And the guy brought the female over, and this dog went straight to that female, and within less than 2 minutes, they were done.
Right on.
You know, he knew that. I mean, it was instinct. That's the gift that God gave him to already know something. That behavior was given to him. And the question that my professor gave the class is, human beings, is there a behavior that you're born with?
That's a good question.
The whole class had a discussion on it. And at the end of the day, even the answer to the question was, all behavior is learned. Now, human has a born innocent with a spirit inside them, and when they're born, they know nothing. And one guy said, well, what about crying? Babies are born knowing how to cry. No, they're not. The baby's born, and the doctor has to slap them on the butt or blow in their face. He has to shock them, and the slap or the blow tells them to start breathing, and then they start screaming. So even crying is learned, and it goes from there.
That's
You're
interesting.
Not born knowing anything.
I don't know.
That's born.
I think that kids know when something is off, though. I don't think that they. I mean, for example, I think it's insulting when they try to teach us sex education, or they try to teach, you know, I'm talking about us when we're kids, sex education, or when they try to tell us, oh, you're going to be moody because you're a teenager, you're an adolescent, and then they try to just, I don't know, it seems condescending. It seems like the adults really don't know what they're doing, but they're trying to teach the kids. And then the kids kind of know better than the adults. So I think the kids will have more common sense than the adults sometimes in terms of those things.
Yeah, when I'm gonna quote Jesse. When I was growing up, when men were men and boys were boys.
Yeah.
When you got in like the 8th grade and you got in the health class, and they taught you about the body parts and the difference between boys and girls,
right?
And what got
like
you pregnant, and this, that, and the other. I think that was fine. But now you got these liberals in the schools, and they're wanting to introduce sex education in the 2nd and 3rd grade, and telling people that it's okay if you feel this and that. You can be a boy or a girl or a boy, even though what you were born, the way you were born, you know. And it's sick. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
And I'm in the school system, and I
remember
these teachers, man, and some of the material they get in the mail.
I know.
It's sent to them, and it'll be laying around their classrooms. And I'm a substitute, and I'll come in the classroom and I'll see stuff laying around their desk. And I have literally went into the principals and said, "This ain't right. This needs to get out of here."
Yeah. They're promoting nasty stuff.
I had a teacher showing in their spare time. It was a home. What was the class? It was teaching them how to take care of babies and stuff.
Yeah.
Home something. I can't think of the name of it right off the top of my head, but it was of a
homemaking or home economics.
Children.
Yeah.
Not home economics. It was about learning how to take care of babies.
Oh, okay.
But in their spare time, they was watching something on Netflix.
Oh
And
gosh,
they had
Netflix is the worst.
They had watched like 3 or 4 seasons of it, and they said, "Can we watch so and so when we get done with our work?" And I said, "I don't know. I'll have to see."
Right.
And she said, "Well, we've been watching it," and I don't never trust them when they tell us stuff
Right.
like that. But I saw
Yeah, they can
on the
lie.
desk where the teacher had all the episodes laid out that they had already seen. So I turned the show on. It was called One Day at a Time, like the old One Day at a Time back in the day, but it's a new version.
Uh-huh.
Man, there was nothing about homosexuals and gays and being tolerant and acceptable about it. That's all it was.
That's a shame, Richard. I mean, man,
Yeah.
I gotta go, but that's why, like you heard the prior caller, he was laughing because although he was misled as a kid, and he was a bad kid, roughly, kind of, he was going to jail and stuff, he was laughing at the stuff that Jesse says because he knows it's true. It's so true. And so the kids will recognize the truth when they hear it. Some of them will freak out, and they'll be the useful idiot army taking down the adults, the truth tellers. But it's really bad, Richard. I gotta go, man.
Okay, man.
All right.
Talking to y'all. Keep up the fight.
You too. Take care.
Mm-hmm.
Good guy. It's nice that there's old timers that are sensible who try to enforce some reasonableness in society. And I noticed that it's the older, maybe less educated, sometimes educated, white, mostly men, but sometimes the women, who are the most sensible, the Christians. And meanwhile, you have these liberals who attack Christians, especially like so-called evangelical Christians. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, but that basically means conservative Christians that they're attacking for not supporting these illegal aliens coming up here. It's such a mess. And so I'm going to get to that, but I want to get to more callers. John, out of Chicago, first-time caller. How are you doing?
James, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Hey, man. So I'm in Chicago. I'm a carpenter, and I'm in the union. I'm working on the north side right now, and, like, every house over here has a gay pride flag, and it's nuts. And, you see all these guys riding around on their bikes in, like, short shorts, and it's just nuts, man. It's crazy over here. I'm wearing my Trump 2020 hat around. People look at me like I'm,
At work?
the devil.
You're wearing that while working?
No, I got to wear my hard hat, but, going to and from the car, I always make sure to bring it. The other day, I got I've got 4 kids going on 5, and all of us were wearing the Trump shirt, and I was able to wear it's bright pink. We got to wear high vis. I was able to wear that to work after the weekend, and that was a good one, too. No one's come up to me yet. I'm sure it's coming, but because it's a short walk across the street to the car.
Wow. It's funny. You bring up the north side where they're all a bunch of, like, uppity liberals who are pro-gay and everything. I think the north...
Yeah, that's actually one thing I wanted to talk about, man. I argue with people all the time on Facebook and stuff, especially on the Rachel Maddow page because they're all so crazy. But, man, when you try and have, like, a normal... Like, because I don't, like, just go on there and start swearing and talking all nuts. I try and, make a reasonable argument.
Okay.
And these people with, like, a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree, they present themselves as these, like, elevated, beyond the pale people that are so impressive. And it just blows my mind, man. I don't know what they're teaching these kids in school, but it's like, they're so, like, pompous. It really is nuts.
Yeah, it's that false knowledge. It's like, how, like, in the Bible it says, knowledge puffs up, but love builds up. And I think the less educated people have less temptation to fall into that crap. Unfortunately.
Yeah, man.
And they're learning the wrong stuff too. Everything that they think they know is wrong. It's such a
it's so true, man. Because I bring up the case. There's a bunch of babies who have survived right around 21 weeks. I think 21 might be the record. 21 weeks.
Okay.
But 23 weeks for sure. And I'll bring that up. And they'll be like, no, it's still just a blob of goo. And I'm like, how are you going to say something like that? These kids, I mean, they require intense doctor supervision, and
Yeah.
they're on the edge at all times, but still they can survive. So you're at that point, I don't know how, and then they just start throwing stuff out like, I have a degree in, what was the one lady? Oh, in citing. She's like, you don't have the citing skills. I'm like, lady, you need to, whatever. But, yeah, and, and it's just, it's absolutely, it just blows my mind how they are just like, drink the Kool-Aid. They're so gone.
Yeah, and they say that you're anti-science. It's such a mess. But, so you're arguing with people on Facebook?
Yeah, actually, I got off Facebook completely about a week ago. That guy did that, 2-day thing, to fight back, and I just decided Facebook is just so, it seems so evil, so I've signed off. I still have my account.
Somebody was recommending a 2-day boycott or something?
Instagram.
You said a 2-day thing to fight back? You're talking about like a 2-day boycott of Facebook or something?
I'm sorry, man. It's so hard to hear you. What did you say? One more time?
What did you say about a 2-day thing to fight back? What were you talking about?
Oh, yeah. So the guy that, one of the co-founders of Wikipedia for July 4th and 5th, he said, log off, basically, to fight back against the censorship and all that stuff. And so, he said, make sure you post something on the 4th and then sign off and be off for the 4th and the 5th.
Stay close to your phone. Okay. Interesting.
Okay, so the guy...
I got you. I heard it. Man, that's nice. Well, yeah, I wish you good luck on that. Be careful in the South Side. Even though they won't kill you, they'll try to destroy you in some other way. The North Side, even though the North Side won't try to kill you the way the South Side might, they'll find some way to destroy you because they're evil. It's every bit as evil as the South Side. Where the blacks are killing each other in the South Side, they're promoting total destruction with homosexuality is just destruction, and they're promoting that in the North Side. And they don't like. It's not a game to them. They'll try to hurt your career and everything.
Yeah, man. Thanks for that. So hey, actually, I did have one question. So
okay.
I haven't forgiven my mother yet. And, I'm one of these guys that's just like, for some reason, and I've heard Chuck talk about it so many times, but I just haven't done it, and I got to do it, man. You got anything?
Stay close to your phone. You're asking if I have any advice for you about it?
Yeah.
No, I don't have any specific advice for you about it. Do you do Jesse's silent prayer?
No, and I haven't even looked it up. I wish you would go over it on the show, but yeah, I'll have to look up the video.
Yeah, just check out silentprayer.video or go to rebuildingtheman.com/church. Silentprayer.video redirects to Jesse Lee Peterson channel video about the showing the silent prayer. And then rebuildingtheman.com/church links to the audio as well as the video of it. And you can play it on SoundCloud, you can download it. There are even a couple of podcast platforms that still have it up. Stitcher, I think, and iTunes or Apple Podcasts has it. And then it's also on the new remix, the first remix, the first Jesse Lee Peterson remixes album. It's at the end of that too. You can purchase it on iTunes or whatever. So.
All right, man. Yeah.
Check it out.
Anyway. I appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you, man.
I'm half Colombian and half German, like Nick, but my wife's 100% Lithuanian American. So, we'll make it as many babies as we can. Hopefully, the white side will take over, and not. I'm definitely not going to let my kids.
Okay, man.
This insanity that the teaching schools. They're young still. First one's going to kindergarten soon. He's going to a Catholic school. But anyway, you're the man, dude. Good luck with the show and everything. And God bless.
All right. Happy White History Month to you and your family.
Happy White History Month. All right, man.
All right, bye. Chris, out of Arizona, first-time caller. Chris, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Hey.
Sounds like you're doing great yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I'm in Arizona. I live as the bird flies, 2 miles from the Mexican border.
Wow.
You can walk right up to the wall and touch it and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Southeastern Arizona or the western side?
West.
Okay.
South.
All right. Nice.
So, yeah, I've even visited the detainment center. Actually, I used to volunteer. And most of the detainees in there, you know, they call them detainees. They don't call them, you know, criminals or anything. But it's not as bad as, you know, it's you know, you're in lockup, so it's not pretty.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, the media has been playing it up so bad, and then they just take the word of these illegal alien minors. They call them children, and meanwhile they'll call Trump a liar, and they're so fake. It's like I don't understand how people just blindly believe them. It's dumb.
Yeah, but from where I was and came in there and how they were treating us, they treated everybody with respect.
As a volunteer, what did you do?
I was in jail ministry.
Okay.
So I was raised Catholic, and what you do is you bring the word of the Lord to the ministers. I mean, to the detainees. And
yeah.
I don't believe in women ministers or anything like that. I actually don't believe in that.
Yeah.
So we would pair up with the male, and I always let the male lead.
Interesting. Nice. That's interesting. So, about Catholics, are Catholics liberals? Because Catholics seem to be liberals to me, and their help seems to be like undermining America. And Ted Cruz is guilty of this too. I don't think he's Catholic, but all of this help for these illegal aliens coming in, and I'm not talking about the ministry stuff. I'm talking about making them comfortable with these diapers and toys and all this stuff. Glenn Beck has done this too. He's Mormon, but all these, and Glenn Beck is not particularly liberal, nor is Ted Cruz. They're supposed to be conservatives, but it's just this softness. And these Catholic charities have like paid maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars to bus these people around the country to wherever they want to go. And to me, that's so wrong. They're helping
I agree with you.
These people destroy the country. Because these people are coming in not believing in America. They're just believing in taking advantage of an opportunity, and it's a crooked opportunity. But I don't like what the Catholic Church or any of these other people are doing.
Well, my mom actually worked in the office. She was a Catholic coordinator.
Yeah.
They would have people donate diapers and baby items for the community. It wasn't necessarily just one race or one particular cause.
Yeah.
If you had a baby and they found out about it, it's like, hey, do you need some diapers? Can we get you anything? In general, they're trying to do their Christian duty.
Yeah.
So as far as those Catholic, what do you call them?
The charities or whatever.
Charities or whatever. I don't know what their goal is. I don't know if I don't know, but I was raised. You know, I wasn't raised liberal at all.
Nice.
Although my mother voted Democrat. I was like, really? You know, because I was against abortion.
Right.
And my mom is a baby boomer, so she's like, well, you're lucky that you lived in a time where, you know, you didn't have to try to get rid of the baby and then, you know, mother's dying and stuff. And I looked at her and I said, that's right. You can have a full-term pregnancy and give it up for adoption to somebody that really, really would love to have a child, you know?
Yeah, and even that's a concession. Like, ideally, you would still raise your own child because the child is going to want to know who their parents really are. Mm-hmm. And the child wants their real parents. And these people are just acting, it's giving mercy to people that shouldn't have that mercy. It's too much.
Selfish.
Yeah. It's like a false compassion.
It's like a false what?
False compassion.
Yeah. I haven't really thought too much about false compassion.
Yeah.
But if I'm like walking to the grocery store and I see somebody who's struggling with their cart, I just run over and help them push their cart.
Yeah.
You know, if they have a lot of groceries, there's a particular story with that one, but people just walk by and ignore somebody. You know, their eyes aren't really open. They just walk past them and don't give a helping hand.
Yeah,
when they see someone struggling.
There's definitely a balance. You don't have to be you should be aware of what's going on so that you can help if you actually should help. But I think we've gone to the other extreme with this stuff. That's why people are claiming that there are Christians, well, most Christians don't really think this, but there are Christians who think that we have a responsibility to allow these refugees in and help them. And they're not refugees. And many of the people who come in here as refugees, look at Ilhan Omar. They're some of the worst people in the world. We don't want them here.
Correct.
And it's not good for them. It's not good for us. And it's just destruction all around. Anyways, Chris.
My parents, my great-grandparents came here legally. From the Bolshevik Revolution, so they came here legally for asylum. And then, so I believe in legal, come in the right way.
Right. Yeah. I appreciate it, Chris. Anything else?
Oh, you ready to let me go? I wanted to talk about the conversation I had with my kids, but I can call another time.
Real fast. Tell me about it. My kids believe in racism. I asked them the other night because of listening to Jesse. And I'm like, okay, have you experienced racism? And they're like, no, but the schools are indoctrinating our children to believe in things that do not exist. They're going to public school?
They're going to public school, and they are part black. They're about 25% black, 75% white. And it's unbelievable. They were even nervous about having a simple conversation about it with me.
How old are they?
The oldest just graduated high school. The youngest is 8, 4 girls.
Oh, man.
And the youngest one was the one that was comfortable telling me what her teacher told her.
Yeah, of course. The youngest one still has some innocence.
Yeah. So I'm worried.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I didn't.
Well, I mean, I would say don't worry because the damage is done. Just, can you and your husband take the ones who are still in school out?
We can't. Unfortunately, we are divorced.
Oh, man. What does your ex-husband think about this?
He doesn't even know. He has no clue. But before last week, I didn't have a clue either.
Yeah. Let him know about it. And I would say, let him know about it. Is he conservative or liberal?
He's conservative.
Okay. Yeah, let him know about it. And then does he know about Jesse?
He doesn't know about Jesse, no.
You can let him know about Jesse,
I've only known about Jesse for 2 or 3 months.
Right on.
Myself.
Yeah, so, don't sweat it. It's all kids are being brainwashed into this. Yeah. Even the private school kids, unfortunately, because private schools are oftentimes no better. But Jesse says that parents who are letting their kids go to public school hate their kids, and it bears that out. Like when you look at what happens to these kids with their minds and everything, it bears it out. And especially now that you guys are separated, it's going to be challenging. But I would say, one, don't worry about it because you're just going to make it worse.
Yeah.
One thing, like, kids hate worrying mothers. That's one of the most obnoxious things. Maybe they'll like you for a while, but then they're going to turn on you. Even maybe they'll like you forever, but that's not good for them.
That's a good point.
So, yeah. Do this Jesse's silent prayer thing.
I've been doing it, yeah.
Okay, nice.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah. And then tell your husband, too, you can call in to Bond for counseling. Jesse does really nice counseling. And if any of your kids are interested in it, really? it can be individual, family, couple, whatever.
Okay.
Is your husband in town, in the same town as you guys, or nearby?
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah. So
The thing is he's remarried and everything. It's very uncomfortable.
yeah,
You know. It's
that's a
not-
shame.
it's not easy.
But anyways,
Bad.
rebuildingtheman.com/counseling or call the office. You can call, the easiest number to remember is 800-411-BOND.
Okay.
800-411-2663. But check it out. Call in, and actually the office lines are open. They're open from 9 to 4 Pacific time. And I think we're probably in the same we're probably in the same
Right
time
now.
right now for you too. It's probably 9:45.
So. What was that?
9:47 for you right now?
Yep, sure
Yeah.
is.
Because you guys stay on Mountain Standard Time.
That's
And we're
right.
on Pacific
Don't-
Daylight Time. So we jumped ahead. All right, Chris, good luck. Hope to hear from you
Thank
again.
you.
And yeah, don't sweat it, but it is a shame.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
I'm glad you got that
Okay.
in. Yeah, you're welcome.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Let me get to Chris out of Kansas. How are you doing, Chris?
Hey, James, how are you? I'm
Fine.
good.
Nice to hear from you.
Yeah, you had asked the other day, or you had just mentioned on your show the other day, maybe it was Monday, I was thinking, that it would be nice to hear from people who are talking to other people and have stories about talking to other people about White History Month.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought I would call in on July 1st. I had, and this never happens out in Dodge City, Kansas. We're 60% Latino population, and the schools anyways are almost 70%, and of the kids who are all immigrants, I guess. And so we have a hard time hiring and finding people to work, for our various businesses. And on July 1st, I had, just out of the blue, these 4 guys, young guys, 17 to 20, as I was going through hiring process, come through, and a Mexican guy, and I hired all of them, and I told them Happy White History Month, and we began talking a little bit about that, and they were all good-natured, and especially the younger white guys were really interested, in it, and it's a thing. I just wanted to tell you, it's a thing.
That is
I'm
nice.
seeing it. People are talking about it online. You see it around the internet. It has its detractors, and I think anytime something begins to have public detractors, that it's a thing, for sure.
Yeah.
Lots of support too.
Mm-hmm.
But the 4 white boys lasted. The Mexican guy, he was doing some work on cleaning up my roof. We have pigeons, cleaning up a mess up on the roof. And he got arrested on the roof.
Oh, man.
And they took him to jail. But this never happens. This is the first time. I had one white guy who worked for me for, a couple of years now. And it's just, it was like Christmas.
Yeah.
In the middle of July, but it was July 1st, and I thought that was pretty something. So I thought this has got to be, White History Month has to be a thing. If the first day of White History Month, I have 4 white applicants, which, like I said, never happens.
Yeah.
It's got to be a blessing.
Nice.
So I thank you for you and Jesse and everybody for bringing all this stuff to attention, like the history.
Yeah.
Is really important.
Yeah, it's important because we need to return to that greatness. Otherwise it's over. Man, Chris,
it is over.
Yeah.
If we don't. And if we don't remember it, and we're just kind of giving up. And it's nice to be able to talk to 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds.
Yeah, definitely.
And let them know that it's okay to be white.
Right.
Because they live in a place where it's just not. And that there's a lot to be thankful for. There's a lot of contributions, and all we hear is what white people do wrong,
Yeah,
and
supposedly
how
wrong.
awful they are, and
Yep.
and the whole world is fed off of our ingenuity, and there wouldn't be electricity, and there wouldn't be air conditioning. There's all kinds of stuff that there wouldn't be. We've created a utopia for the world in a sense.
What's crazy too, Chris? What's crazy too is that
the world has never had in the last 200 years. You think about the whole history of the world, and we've created just amazing things to make life better for everybody.
Well, not we, but the whites before us.
And then they talk about us like we're dogs.
Chris, they've been, from what I understand, whites are like a small minority worldwide of the whole world population.
Absolutely.
Yet they just want to flood in the white countries. They want to diversify the white countries. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if it's,
But I guess it's whites' fault that we're such a
right.
minority. We haven't been making babies. All right,
yeah,
Chris.
That's the other thing, too. Yeah, but thank you, guys. And I just had to chuckle when you mentioned that because my own experience. And so it must be meant to be. I think 20 years from now, maybe people will, I think a few years from now, White History Month may be just as important as the 2 months of homosexual history. And
in the world's eyes, you mean? Yeah. It already is more important. Yeah. Take care, Chris. Nice to hear from you.
All right, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Let me quickly get to these Pew pictures, Joel. I have, and then I'll get back to Charlie, Pierre, all you guys, real fast. So this study came out according to Relevant Magazine, a liberal Christian outlet. Ridiculous. Study, white evangelicals least likely to say the U.S. has a responsibility to accept refugees. And the opening paragraph is just ridiculous. I'll post it on my blog, thehakereport.com/blog in today's episode. But Pew Research reshared a May 2018 study from their 2018 study from their last year on Sunday, tweeting, quote, percent who say the U.S. has a responsibility to accept refugees, religiously unaffiliated, 65% say we have a responsibility to accept refugees. Black Protestants, 63% say we have a responsibility. Catholic, 50%. White mainline Protestant, 43%. Okay, it's getting better. And white evangelicals, just 25% say we have a responsibility to accept refugees. How does that even make sense that we have a responsibility? And the good news is, or maybe not, since 2016, there's been an 82% overall decline in the number of refugees accepted into the United States, which includes a 70% drop in Christians feeling persecution overseas. And I heard that I also heard this said from an Iraqi Chaldean Christian who calls from Michigan sometimes, who's called into Jesse's show complaining about that. But none of these people want white Christians, South Africans as refugees, who are being targeted by black anti-white communists. And then Washington Post, which is owned by far-left Amazon owner Jeff Bezos. Amazon owns Twitch, by the way, and they banned us real fast. Had an article last year, it was stupid trashing more sensible Christians, praising the wolves in sheep's clothing, the fake compassion of people. Why many white evangelicals are not protesting family separations on the U.S. border. And they have a stupid, just ridiculous headline. By the way, I'm just kind of rushing through this. Basically, older, white, uneducated, conservative Christians have the least amount of suckers for fake compassion for the illegal aliens pretending to be refugees. And we all know that the refugee system has been abused for years. Follow Ann Corcoran at Refugee Watcher on Twitter. She was on Jesse's show a couple of times. I brought her on when I was producer. She used to own Refugee Resettlement Watch. Apparently this whole blog, Refugee Resettlement Watch, a WordPress blog, got censored by WordPress inexplicably. 12 years later, she hadn't used it for maybe 6 months or so because she started this new website, fraudscrooksliars.com. And thank you to Caroline out of New York, by the way, for the tip about her. She used to be an environmentalist. Now she's a sensible person, talking about the refugee abuse of the refugee system to change America. Thank you. Ilhan Omar is one example. Let me get to Charlie out of Philadelphia. Charlie, how are you?
Hi, James. I'm okay. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
So I know you don't have much time.
Yeah.
Things really quick. First thing, I think there's an interesting story that you guys maybe should cover, and this has been progressing. Supposedly, the U.S. government, the Defense Department, is thinking of utilizing Guantanamo Bay for a holdover spot for kind of refugees that come to the border.
I wouldn't be. I'm not surprised they thought of that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it would be maybe an interesting story to go into more detail about. But my second question or comment is about the silent prayer, which Jesse and you frequently use as a kind of a spiritual catch-all, like a solution to your spiritual problems, potentially. Okay?
Go on.
And my question is, it has a lot of similarities to like meditation and kind of New Agey Buddhist characteristics. Like in the video,
I've heard people say that.
Jesse comments on the third eye. Almost, he calls about where your thoughts go through the space between your eyes.
He never mentions the third eye. I've never heard him say that.
But he does mention the space between your eyes where your thoughts go through, that you want to kind of observe your thoughts going through the space between your eyes.
Oh, okay.
I think he says that in the video, and my only comment is he sounds a little bit like Marianne Williamson, the Democratic candidate for president, who's a little New Agey herself. With all the drop the anger and meditate, it's a little bit. It doesn't really feel Christian to me.
Are you a Christian?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. Jesse's nothing like Marianne Williamson. You can draw similarities to all those things. Jesse doesn't know anything about New Age or Buddhism or anything like that. So
what does he mean by like observing the thoughts moving between your eyes and
exactly
like
just means what he says.
All right. My only comment is it's a little bit hippy dippy for my taste, but I would
say, Charlie, don't judge it as that. Like, yeah, that's Satan feeding your mind about that.
Well, I think the intention
that's a false impression.
The intention is just to be self-aware. I think he intends for the silent prayer to become your constant state. You kind of always want to be aware of yourself and present. And I just think he could talk more about that way of being, and rather than simply sending people to go listen to the prayer. I don't know how many people in the audience actually seek it out, and I think being more kind of being observing yourself, it's a good suggestion. It's a good.
So then, how come you jump to the hippy dippy thing?
I don't know. It just seems the when he explicitly said observe your thoughts moving between your eyes, I just don't really see my body as being the location of that sort of experience. I don't think the thoughts really move through my body, but
All right, Charlie. Well, just pay attention to yourself then, and then maybe you'll find out that it does.
All right. Have a great day, Jen.
You too, man. Pierre and all the other callers, I'm sorry I can't get to you, but I'll be back tomorrow, and Jesse will too. Go to thehakereport.com to check out the write-ups on this stuff, and jesseleepeterson.com. Make sure you subscribe to our email and physical mailing list, because they are trying to crack down on us. They are trying to silence us. They can't do it, but they want to try to stamp out any evidence of the truth, because they're about lies. Take care, guys.